leadership in the future? What's the function of leadership in the future? Or a different way of putting the question could be saying that organizations are changing, the world is changing, and what does it mean about how leaders need to change also? And I think it's an interesting question in terms of systems analysis and coaching, and even for leaders. It's an interesting question for the whole world. In a way, we can say governments and all the leaders in the world today are really being questioned, and they're being judged wanting in a way, and they're not up to expectations, as if people still had expectations from leaders, and leaders still expected to lead, but this picture is gradually disappearing. Now, if we take systems analysis, it's really interesting, for instance, to say, well, in the past we thought the Earth was the center of the universe, and then we thought everything revolved around the sun. And then, well, gradually, there's a big question as to whether there's a center of the universe, whether there's not multiple universes, and so on and so forth. So there's gradually, we can say, in terms of humanity, the need to start becoming a little more humble and thinking that we're, you know, the Sun King, and we have to become the center of the universe, because maybe such a thing doesn't even exist. There's gradually a reflection and even a reality in organizations is that leaders hardly have a hold of anything anymore. And the main way for organizations to adapt to a changing world, constantly changing world, is to be able to react locally much more. The systems analysis almost stipulates that you have to have a global analysis, but you have to act locally. In other words, local action and local leadership is more important than global almost direction. There needs to be a large understanding, so people have to understand what's going on, but then they have to decide what to do locally. So the top-down idea of leaders is going out more and more. Even if organizations are trying to increase centralized control more and more, it's becoming obvious with the web and modern, you know, information flow and so on, that everybody locally needs to be able to act and react, and that is what's becoming agile organizations, network organizations, and that kind of idea of organization. Now, to come back to the question, what's the place of the leader? Well, the leader's place is to facilitate this and accompany this. I would almost say leadership is becoming almost like coaching. In other words, how can leaders create a space in which their people can grow, develop, react, and build and achieve? The more leaders create that space, almost like in a coaching space, the more their clients, what I mean is their collaborators, their personnel, the organization is going to find the space to grow. And it's accompanying people to do their job, but not telling them what to do and not directing them in a way. It's asking them what is the emerging direction. Okay. So I think leadership in the future is going to have completely different competencies. People today are saying, for instance, we need to have more meaning in our job. Leaders think, oh, so I have to input meaning. I'm going to have a big speech on the meaning of what we do. But this is wrong. People need more meaning in the job. They need to put their own meaning. They need to have a space where they can express their meaning, where they can find their meaning. They're not asking leadership to dictate meaning. They're not asking leadership to dictate direction. They're asking leaders to accompany the capacity for the whole organization to develop space for everybody's meaning, everybody's motivation, aspirations, and so on. If that doesn't happen, these people will leave and look for organizations where it's possible, or will create their organization, their own organization, where they can develop their own meaning. So actually necessary for the future is to know how to create organizations in which people will be able to express their direction, will be able to express their meaning, and work with others, creating something collectively that will be emerging rather than dictated from the top down. This is completely in keeping with the development of the web on the one hand and then the development of the coaching profession on the other. The two are actually accompanying this movement into the future. But it is a great turnaround or turnabout for the whole definition of leadership in a way.